Yo, welcome to Pitch Report. I'm Mario.
And I'm Amilcar.
How are you, Amilcar?
I'm doing well. I had a great sports weekend, so pretty excited about that on all fronts. How about yourself?
Yeah, not bad. Like you said, good sports weekend. I'm still alive in my Survivor Football League and in my Fantasy Football League. After going 0-5, I'm 3-5 now, so things are looking up.
A 3-game win streak?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Impressive.
Yeah. I was certain I was going to get last place this year. Not again, but like from 2 years ago.
Yeah, no, this year my team has been like decimated with injuries. So I think that's been my issue. So I've been just living the waiver wire. So it's been rough to say the least. I think I must be like 3-5 also, honestly, but I didn't go 0-5, but I got there, different path, but still in the same place.
Yeah. I always end up around like just one game under 500 by the end of the season, regardless of how good or bad I start.
Yeah, my whole thing in that league is just as long as you don't get last place. So once you're mathematically not last place, you can coast. It's like it's either you're battling for first place or you're just not last place. There's no middle ground for me, at least.
Yeah, same. I mean, I'm always just trying to not be last place. I don't know if I've ever made the playoffs in our league, and we've played 6 years in that one.
Probably even more. Yeah, that's crazy.
Well, that's why this is a soccer and not a fantasy football podcast.
Granted, wait, you're doing really well in our fantasy soccer, right? The EPL one. I'm in 8th place. I'm pretty far down.
I think I was in 3rd last time I checked.
There you go. And once again, like you said, that's why it's a soccer podcast and not a football one.
And it's Premier League too. That's probably what I watch the most.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But let's get to the exciting sports stuff to our listeners. San Diego FC, Amilcar, you were there. We got our first ever playoff win in our first ever playoff game. How was it?
Yeah, it was super cool, man. It reminded me a lot of, at least the environment reminded me a lot of opening day. It was just like so many people. I didn't get there super early, but I know people that got there like at 4:30, 4 o'clock. Like the fan fest outside was kind of crazy. And then it was probably the most full I've seen a game at kickoff. They started like, I think 15, 20 minutes late. But it was packed. They had like Manny Machado come out with the flow, so that was really cool. They had a whole like tribute video when he came out, and it was all Padres highlights, which was, I thought, very interesting, but also just very, very fun. Jackson Merrill was there. He was on the big screen also at some point in the match. And then there was also goals. Like I was worried. I was like, the second the game started, I thought if we score, like this play's gonna go nuts, and it was crazy how wild it was, even though like one of the goals didn't count and it was a whole back and forth, but we got the result, even though it was very stressful towards the last like maybe 15-20 minutes.
Yeah, it looked really cool. Even on TV, it looked super, super packed. And this was a team that at home we tied 0-0, which was not the most fun game. So I'm glad you didn't have the same result. But yeah, what was it like seeing, like, did the intensity look different, or like, was it, other than like the fact that it's a playoff, was there anything that you saw different from like the team or on the field?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, they were playing a lot more cohesive, and it should have been probably like 3-1, 4-1 in the first half. I mean, there was the one goal that was like slightly offsides, and then there was a couple of just open chances in front of the net that they just kept like mishitting or just like skying the ball. Like what I liked though, that there was a lot of opportunities that were created. So that is what I think was the biggest difference. The other biggest difference still is no Chucky, man. Still, he's not even on the bench. He's still in street clothes and timeout.
Dude, that really surprised me too, because I thought like the punishment was not playing the final game against Portland in Portland, but this is like the regular season game. But the fact that so I was like, oh, he's gonna either play or like right at the bench. I didn't think he was like not gonna be there. Like, talk about like you said, like a timeout or like a punishment.
And it was all because he had kind of like talked back to the coach, I think, when he got subbed out, right?
Yeah, I think, so he, against the Houston Dynamo, they were down like San Diego State was down 1-0, and Mickey Varos subbed them out, and he was kind of upset. There was, at the time, he said there was an incident, we're handling it, but it was some sort of altercation in the locker room.
Yeah, but to miss the first match of the playoffs is like a huge deal. But luckily, like they played really well. There was a lot of subs that like normal subs that were starting the match. And Anders Dreyer played a pretty lights out game, which is awesome to see. But like Luca de la Torre didn't start either. He came off the bench. But it was also nice that he came off the bench because it was a nice little boost when they were getting kind of comfortable towards the end, probably like in like the 70th minute. You could see that they were attacking a lot more because obviously they were playing for the game. They wanted to get the tie. But so once that was happening, I think, having him in, which he's more of like a ball controller, bringing him back in and stuff was nice and kind of settled the game a little bit more. But it was still, even though we were man up, it was still a little dangerous. And yeah, so it was interesting to say the least.
Yeah, and credit to San Diego FC. I think it's a luxury that they've earned throughout the season, being able to slot in different players. And it seems like regardless of who they end up playing, they end up getting the results they need. Even when like Milan Lavsky left, who he didn't play for a long time, but when he was here, he was lights out. He had like the 4-goal game. And like you think like you lose a player like that and like your team might not recover, and they just get the result a different way. So it's been nice seeing that depth, and I think that's kind of what you need for like a deep playoff run. And even like Chucky Lozano, which is like your most expensive player, I was reading he's making $7 million this year, and he like just doesn't play. It's just pretty impressive, like what the team's been able to do. And I think it helps having someone like Anders Dreyer on the team as well.
I think most people were like talking about, and like I like watching a lot of like the pregame stuff. It's like a lot of people had no idea who Anders Dreyer was before the season, and now he's like a household name, at least in like the MLS fan groups, right? Because he's like a finalist for the MLS or for the MVP, and then he's also a finalist for newcomer of the year, which I think is just anybody that has first time in the MLS. And I think he's going to win one of the two, right? Either if he wins MVP, he's going to probably win the other one too, or he'll at least win the newcomer of the year. Because you know how it is. If Messi's in the league, the odds of him winning it are very, very high.
Yeah, as anyone that's been a top world soccer player in the era of Messi or Ronaldo, they know like it's just
not, you're fighting for second place, not first.
Yeah, essentially,
or third sometimes.
Yeah. And honestly, I was one of the people that at the beginning of the season, frankly, most of the people in our lineup, I didn't know who they were when we first started like the team. But yeah, Anders Dreyer, I think MVP will be tough just because the Messi factor of it all. But I definitely don't see how newcomer of the year is not what he wins. I haven't really followed other big newcomers, but like stat for stat, he's like the biggest like name I see other than Messi in terms of like goals and opportunities created. He was not far from Carlos Velas's record from I think like 2018, 2017 on like goal contributions actually. So yeah, I definitely see him potentially winning that. But I think the trophy that matters is the MLS Cup. So hopefully that's something that is in the future. I'll knock on wood because my wife keeps telling me not to say that.
No, I mean they played really well, so I'm excited. I mean, granted, it's kind of tough because we beat them 4-0 right away, and then you're playing them again, and they were playing them again. So it was definitely like scrappy towards the end with those like the red card, which was like 2 yellow cards within the span of like maybe 3 minutes to the same dude, and it was the first 2 yellow cards that the ref had given out. So it's kind of crazy, like how it went from like a pretty clean game to that, and then it was just scrappy all along. So I wonder if it's going to be even crazier in Portland. And kind of the teams seeing each other like 3 times and potentially, hopefully not, but potentially a 4th straight if they don't win the next match.
Yeah, actually. And despite getting the result, it was not like the best game. I almost feel had it not been for the red card that Portland was playing basically like 30 minutes with the man down, it could have very easily been a game that gets tied. And like you mentioned before, that this goes into penalties right after. At that point, it's just like a toss-up. And I got the feeling that if this game was maybe 15 minutes longer, Portland could have maybe tied it. Even though we were making a bulk of the opportunities, some of the counterattacks are very dangerous, and they had some pretty good attacks that just didn't end up resulting in a goal. But like even like the goal that they got, it was a really good counterattack, and it was a really nice goal. Honestly, all the goals were pretty nice. Anders Dreyer's goal was probably one of my favorite I've seen all season long. Like this guy can score anyway, like with the header and stuff. Usually, like I haven't seen him score a lot of headers this season, so
Not the tallest guy.
Yeah, exactly, not the tallest guy. And it was a low cross that he got to. But at least on the TV, it looked really cool. How was it from our seats?
Yeah, no, it was great because it also happened pretty quickly right after the first goal. So it was the first goal, then it was a disallowed goal, maybe like a minute and a half later, and then maybe another 2-3 minutes later, it was that the goal that actually went in again. So it was 2-0 like within the span of 10 minutes. 3 goals, 1 disallowed. So it was kind of surprising. But then at that point, you're like, all right, cool, we're cooking, like we're going. And there had already been like 2 or 3 opportunities that were just very, very clear, just like missed opportunities right in front of goal. And so yeah, I think once we had the first one, we were good, and the second one, it kind of came out of nowhere. Honestly, I didn't expect it to happen, like you said, because it was such a low cross, and it happened like so quickly.
Yeah, it was at that point. It felt like we could get 3-4 in. Ultimately, we got the win. I'm still trying to figure out how I feel about the format. How the goal difference doesn't really matter, which is something that you basically see in every other like soccer league around the world. So it seems like a little bit strange. It's kind of more like, again, the North American sports of it all. But I guess the cool thing of it, I guess, is Portland. You could see they were just going like for it, because if they score a goal, they're back in it. It's a toss up if they go to penalties. Like if they would have tied it. Where in a traditional format, maybe you're thinking, hey, I'm going to just keep this result. I'm only down 2-1. Next game I got at home, I like my chances there. But here at Portland, you might as well go for the win at that point, rather than, it doesn't matter if you try to score and you get counted on and you lose 3-1. It's still a loss. It doesn't mean anything else. It's more like a binary, I guess, result in that sense.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think the most interesting part to me was the fact that like you could go from dominating the whole game like SDFC was doing to then potentially going to PKs straight up, which was kind of scary because anything can happen where you score a goal, right? Like that could happen, not too difficult, especially when they were attacking like they were. And then you go from like dominating the game to all of a sudden PKs, instead of saying, okay, like, yeah, it was a one-off, they scored a goal, we have extra time, we're playing so much better, we got him in extra time. But like PKs it's like anything can happen, it's anybody's game. And then we had just seen like Philadelphia and Chicago go to PKs 0-0, and that was like almost an upset, like the 8-1 upset, which was what would have been with us too. So yeah, I don't know, that's kind of, I think, more stressful than the away goal stuff.
Yeah, because I feel like it gives the team that is a higher seed like the least possible advantage, really. Because then you lose some penalties, and then you have to go play away as well. But I guess we'll see as like more years of this happen, and maybe depending on how it plays or doesn't play to San Diego FC's favor, I'll change my tone. But yeah, it's a new format. But something that's not a new format is a Clásico in the name. It means it's been there for a long time. So we had the Clásico over the weekend. I guess I omit that from my good sports weekend for me, and I see why you said you had a good sports weekend. The face you're making right now.
Yeah, it was exactly what we needed, honestly. Barcelona,
what you needed.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry. Yeah, Barcelona beat us 4 times last year, so it was a revenge game for sure. And if you all watched it, Real Madrid won 2-1, but it was very eventful. A lot more goals happened that got disallowed.
Wait,
or
was it 3?
There was
like 3 or 4?
These 2 in the first half that got disallowed. 1 offsides, 1 was, or like 2 offsides. And then the penalties, and it's never, that match never goes without controversy. So, but yeah, it was a super thrilling, super exciting match. I know Barcelona has a lot of injuries, so kind of like Real Madrid did last year. So, yeah, came out with a win. Very excited. Did you watch the match?
I did not watch the match. I'll admit I had an event on Saturday that made it hard for me to wake up on Sunday.
It was early.
Yeah, it was early. I think I stayed up watching like Harry Potter, which I think I was talking about last week. Yes. But I caught the extended highlights. So I watched like the 30-minute highlight.
Yeah. So there was a lot that happened. I think leading up to the match, I guess we can talk about like the whole like Lamine Yamal drama that happened with him, and how he was saying that Real Madrid, or I guess in conversation, some people like it's kind of taken in and out of context, but they were comparing Real Madrid to a team in the Kings League, which is Gerard Piqué's like kind of like indoor soccer league that he has. And then he was like, yeah, they steal and they cheat, kind of like insinuating that like that was what Real Madrid did. And so that kind of added fuel to the fire. That's the saying. Added fuel to the fire to like an already like crazy game that had already a lot of like intensity. And then he also posted like the day before on social media a picture of him at the Bernabeu, like I think it was after last year with the fans in the background, and then they lost, and he didn't really show up. Like he didn't have a good match, no assists, no goals, no goal scoring opportunities, kind of was just pretty silent. So there was a lot of craziness there. So I guess what's your opinion on like the pre-match, like what he did? Like, do you think that's like fine? It's all like part of like the kind of like the whole game of it all, or do you think it's just extracurriculars that probably you don't need to do?
I think it's a combination. I think every sport needs characters like this. I'm not saying like disrespectful, but the showmanship is part of like, it's part of like, I guess like the Hollywood of it all, like trying to get into people's skin or under people's skin. But I also think there's a combination of him like being young, could maybe be a little bit more humble. So it's a combination of things. Like when you mentioned the clip that kind of maybe was taken a little out of context by him calling like Real Madrid like robbers and stuff, and like that interview, I saw a different clip that showed like we went from this, which was like I think Lamine Yamal saying that. I think it was like maybe Vinny saying something about Barcelona. We went from this, which before was like a clip of Ronaldo and Messi separately being interviewed, and like the question was basically who's like the best team right now, and they were each speaking very highly of each other's teams. Like, oh, like Ronaldo was saying like, oh, Barcelona is going through a tough time right now, but they're a great team and they're going to like get back to it. And
yeah,
Messi was talking about around the same time period, like, oh, Real Madrid is the team to beat right now. They're the current champions. So it was kind of showing how we went from one type of rivalry to the other. I think a lot of it can sometimes be like media trying to make like someone look like the bad guy. So it's a combination. Someone that if I'm looking at Lamine Yamal for Spain in the upcoming World Cup, learn a lot of these lessons right now about maybe being a little more humble, being a little more focused, so that you can put that into play into the World Cup. And if I'm looking a little bit shorter term, it's still, I think, week 10 of the season, they can still turn it around. So hopefully these are lessons that they grow from. But yeah, ultimately, like he maybe got a little too distracted because he didn't have like a good game, as you mentioned. He didn't really create much. His like signature like shot, he tries to like break away and take a shot to the left. Like nothing was like in range. He wasn't really like a threat in any way.
Yeah. So do you think that there's like someone at Barcelona that needs to kind of sit him aside and be like, hey, buddy, like relax. Like you don't need to, fuel the opponent, any more than they need to? Or do you think it's just like, he'll learn, he'll figure it out?
I think maybe like his parents, he's young enough that like maybe like I feel like a lot of these are lessons that you learn when you're young. Like when he just has such a big stage, that to do it in. That's the only thing. But yeah, hopefully some of the older guys on the team. But honestly, like who would it be? Like Lewandowski, he's like probably the oldest one. Or I can never say the goalie's name. Chesney or
Chesney, yeah.
Yeah, Chesney. The rest of the team, I feel is like pretty young. They're all like also like early 20s.
And maybe that's it. That's the thing, right? Is that like it's Gen Z. It's like the new social media era. But that, like you mentioned about his parents. But the funny part is a lot of people think that the reason that he is how he is because of his dad. And his dad was like on social media like the night before the match saying like, oh, I'm cooking here in the kitchen and my kid's gonna cook like tomorrow night or whatever it is, and like so like a lot of it's like his dad kind of egging that on and having that persona, and I actually saw something about Ronaldinho kind of saying that like it kind of seemed like he was saying like learn from my mistakes, like Messi, Ronaldo, like they all played on the field, Iniesta, Xavi, like they were on the field, like he kind of insinuated that like he's like I was more than that and like my career wasn't what it could have been type thing. So I do find a part of that because I think had he not done anything beforehand, his match, it would have been like, yeah, okay, he didn't show up, like, whatever. But it would have just moved on. It would have been fine.
He had a
Whatever.
better game. Everyone does.
Exactly, yeah. And it's one of those where it's like, because he had this whole conversation around him, that now it's like, oh, you're going to talk the talk, but now you got to walk the walk. And last year he did it. Every match he was scoring, Barcelona was winning, and I think he didn't know what it felt like to lose. And now he's like, oh shit, like I can't lose sometimes, so maybe I need to like tone it down.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how it plays out in like the short term and then the near term. But yeah, it kind of reminds me a little bit of the Ball brothers, and I forget the dad's name. From the Lakers. Yeah,
LeVar Ball.
Kind of like what your reference to the dad, and very promising young players, and they had like some like good seasons, but nothing great. So yeah, hopefully Lamine Yamal can learn from Ronaldinho.
Yeah, hopefully, man. But like, speaking of tantrums, and it kind of ties into the whole Chucky Lozano thing. If you're watching the match, like Vinny Jr. had basically the exact reaction that Chucky did. I would argue even probably worse than what Chucky did. He just he was so pissed off. He got subbed. I think it was like the 71st minute or 72nd minute. Got subbed out of the match, and then he was like, kind of screaming, pouting, getting really frustrated on the way out. Didn't shake the coach's hand, and then went straight down the tunnel, kind of like skipped the subs bench, went straight down the tunnel, and then kind of came back. And that was a whole thing too, that people were just like, bro, you played such a good match, and now you just kind of threw it all away for like your temper tantrum of getting subbed down like the 72nd minute,
Yeah, and then I agree, because when I saw like the highlights, it looked like he played really well. Like he was creating a lot of opportunities. He was involved in like goal contributions, sort of. I think he had a good game too, and it just shows like he maybe cares more of himself than the team. I don't know. It makes me appreciate too Chucky. Like he had to basically apologize publicly. I don't know if he had to. I'm hoping he wanted to do it. Then you have to go stand there like in your clothes. I'm sure it feels like not good. Like your team in the playoffs, like you're like literally like not a chance. I'm not saying embarrassing, but it's like you're not going to play in the game. Like, and
it's a little embarrassing, right? Because you did this to yourself, right? It's not something that happened to you. You did this.
You're very public, and you just have to put on like a brave, happy face. Hopefully, he really is being supportive, and he has like he gets to come back, and we're good. But also, props to Mickey Varas that said, you know what, like. I'm not gonna like deal with this, and I think it's harder when you're at Real Madrid and you have a player like Vinny, but that puts you in a really tough spot. Yeah, and it's just not a good look at the end.
Yeah, I think Xavi didn't even acknowledge him basically when he went out because he was frustrated. But the interesting part that I find is, and I've seen some videos of like, you look at the rest of the team and how they're reacting to that, and they're kind of like, dude, what the hell's going on, bro? Like, relax, kind of like take it easy.
We're winning, like.
Yeah, and especially the player that was coming in, right? Rodrigo was coming in, and it's almost like him coming off like that makes it seem like, bro, I'm better than this guy. Like, why are you putting him in for me? And it's like, dude, like, I don't know, they're your teammates at the end of the day. So he did do the public apology already and apologize for all, like, for his tantrum and stuff like that. But it's like, it's one of those things like, bro, you got to like grow up, man. You've been doing this for so long. And as a Real Madrid fan, it's like, it does get frustrating after a while. And I think it's a similar situation to Lamine Yamal. It's like when he's scoring, when he's doing well, like everyone's like, okay, we'll put up with it. Like, it's fine. If you're doing well, we'll put up with anything. But then the second you're like maybe not doing so well, not having the best season, now you're drawing all this attention to you for just like all the wrong things, and so I mean we'll see how it goes. I think with Xavi, it seems like he's more strict than Ancelotti was. Ancelotti was like more of a friend of the players and stuff, and Xavi's more of like intense coach. So hopefully it doesn't cause a rift like within the team. But if he has to sit out, he has to sit out. I think he's got to learn his lesson, and whether that's he's at Madrid or not, like I don't know, like no one's bigger than the club, and I think that's something that Barcelona ended up like. It was like to Barcelona's demise a couple years ago when like they felt like Messi was bigger than the club, pay him whatever he wants, this and that, and then you realize no one's really bigger than the club in reality. So it's like you gotta like suck it up. It's a team game.
Yeah, everyone's there for a short period of time, but the club in theory is gonna be there forever. If they did sit him out, you guys have Valencia next. Oh, then you got Liverpool in the Champions League. Yeah. I mean, Liverpool's had a rough go recently, but yeah, It'd be interesting. Yeah, I wonder if they'll sit him out or if the apology is enough.
Yeah, I mean, Xavi's not scared to bench him, so if anything, maybe bench him for half a game or something like that, and see how it goes. But one thing I was like, did you see the fights at the end of the match too, and like kind of like between the players? Like, what were your thoughts on that? Do you feel like the Clásico has kind of regained its like spot in the world where it's like the match to watch again?
I think so, especially like we're talking like Vinny, Mbappe too. Not that he's like problematic, but like you have like new, young, exciting stars. I think in that sense, yes. I think the fighting too plays into the Hollywood of it all again. I think it kind of gets equated with passion for like the game and your team. Uh, Almost like in baseball when like sometimes managers go and they just have to kind of like make a scene and get thrown out. So that like
I need to get kicked out. So what do I have to do?
Yeah, I need the fans and the team to know I got their back. I feel like there can be a bit of that at times. I think this, yeah. So it's a combination, but I would say yes. It's at least from what I'm seeing, maybe because we're in like the soccer podcast world, but I see it more prominently featured than I feel like I had for maybe 2-3 years in the past.
Yeah, I saw something that there was 600 million people that were watching the match around the world. And then it's funny because like a lot of the comments were like, "Oh, and here America thought the Super Bowl was the most watched event," and it's like not even like a quarter of the viewers that that the Clásico has. And it's just one match.
And it might be too. It's a little bit maybe more competitive before last year. Respectfully, it was more one-sided on the Clásico. And the years before that, Barcelona had been going through a pretty tough time in general, so it hadn't been like the most maybe competitive, even though we mentioned last week too that these games are always competitive, but maybe it doesn't feel like there's as much at stake in certain, even though again they're usually fighting for first place in La Liga. I think it feels the intensity feels a little bit higher overall.
Yeah, I mean, it might be the unpopular opinion, but I actually like enjoy the fighting. Like I like at least at the end, like I don't know, like no one's seriously like fist fighting or anything.
Yeah, and there's no punches thrown or anything.
Yeah, and the players aren't going to actually fight. It's all like you said. It's all a show. It's all really like they're hold me back, bro, hold me back.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
I would get you if that guy wasn't in there, you know, like all that stuff. But I think it brings back like you said, the passion, like the like these teams are like bitter rivals and like all that stuff that I feel like had been missing. That was there back with like Puyol and Piqué and Sergio Ramos and Iker Casillas, like where they would just like kind of go at it. And for me, I hope it doesn't go over into like the Spain national team, because now like everyone's on social media, it's like, oh well, Lamine Yamal doesn't follow Dani Carvajal anymore, so like there's gonna be this, that, and the other. But I don't know. I thought the passion was fun. I thought it was like finally really exciting to watch this match again. Like maybe 5-10 years ago, it's like the world stopped when these two teams were playing and everyone was just watching. And it seems like we're finally coming back to that because you have like Lamine Yamal, Mbappe, arguably two of the best players in the world. Again, kind of like Ronaldo and Messi. It's kind of like all is well again in the world.
Yeah, and you like having like two like equal or close to equal adversaries. It just makes for a better storyline, and yeah, it's definitely fun to watch them.
Yeah, and speaking of a team's kind of like coming back and things reminiscing of 10 years ago, we got Man U on a nice little 3-game win streak. We got our friends getting the scissors ready.
Yeah, getting the scissors ready. Manchester United had a pretty good win, I would say. For a moment, I thought they could have maybe they won 4-2 over the weekend. I thought they had a chance of maybe like losing the lead, but ultimately, like it looks like things are starting to click. We have, I believe, this weekend we're playing Nottingham Forest. They're not doing too well, so hopefully they can just continue like the good momentum and get the win number 4. Now I think 5 is a magic number just because of like that guy that hasn't cut his hair. But more importantly, like they're climbing up on the table, and the conversation can get pretty interesting if they keep it up. Right now, they're one spot shy of European soccer, which is something that is one of their goals for next year to be back ideally in the Champions League. Right now, they are honestly 3 points away from second place, so they could really make a. It's too early to tell, so I'll just leave it at that for now. But they're looking pretty good, and it's something that feels like uncharted territory for the last maybe 4 or 5 years, where they
Yeah,
realistically look competitive.
totally. And then, like you said, Nottingham Forest is like third to last, so they're like in the relegation zone. But then the fifth, like, and you said like the final, the match. We're only saying that because of that guy is Tottenham, which is playing pretty well. Obviously, they lost to Newcastle today, 2-0. But they're third in the league, so they've had a pretty good, solid season so far, and that'll be like the tough test. And I wonder if the guy's going to do anything. He's going to go to the stadium or something for that fifth match to see if they win. Maybe they just shave his head on the spot. You think?
I feel like he must have some sort of company reaching out for a sponsorship deal, either on like the little bib you wear when you get a haircut, or like the scissors or the razor. I don't know. I don't. Yeah. So it'll be fun. We'll like repost the video once it happens. Hopefully, I'll knock on wood again. Hopefully, it happens November 8th. That's when game number 5 would be.
Yeah.
But it's been exciting. It's
Yeah,
been
and
nice.
it's crazy because Man U is now above Liverpool in the EPL, which is something that like we talked about 10 years ago. That's like something that you remember, in the early 2010s, if not before that. And Liverpool's on this like terrible run. Like I honestly haven't seen a run that bad from like a solid team in a while. They've lost six of seven. And they went from first place to, what are they, seventh now? If not lower.
Now. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, with Liverpool last year, Arne Slot won the first time coach with Liverpool and won the Premier League, but it was very much Jurgen Klopp's team. Like, the team didn't change that much. This is like technically like his first year in the sense of like a team that he built more of. So I think they're experiencing the growing pains you usually would get with the new manager year one, because Jurgen Klopp, because also usually a new manager left because the guy before didn't do a good job. Jurgen Klopp left because he just wanted to relax, but then I guess wanted to go work at Red Bull. But so he left it in pretty good shape, as you can see, good enough to win the Premier League the year after. So I think they're experiencing like the growing pains of what it's usually a year one manager. So it'll be interesting how the rest of the season shapes up. I think it might still get a little bit worse, or they could maybe just be outside looking in for European football, but we'll see. Which actually makes me think, which poses a question that we've sort of like talked about to a degree. But with the high number of games that are happening nowadays, if you're a team, do you maybe think some years like, hey, this year I'm going to focus on being high on my domestic league and being high for like European soccer, and then this year I'm going to focus on European soccer instead? You're going to like kind of pick and choose like what your objective is any given year, excluding like the Real Madrids, maybe like to a degree like Barcelona's, PSG. So teams that have like really good depth to do it all. But like for Manchester United, I think right now it's helping that they're pretty fresh come game day once a week. They don't have to necessarily travel. We talked about Real Madrid going to Kazakhstan like on a weekday. Like, do you think that's going to play more of a factor? Or is it just like a pattern we're seeing right now?
I mean, I think it's just a pattern you're seeing, because like I think Tottenham is also playing European football, but then you have like Sunderland, Bournemouth that are not. I don't know. I think I don't think you can turn it on, turn it off.
Yeah.
Truly, and especially if we're saying that we're excluding these like top tier teams, which are the ones that if anybody could turn it on and off, it'd be those players or those teams where you can say, okay, we're going to start our bench, or so to speak, or start a couple of subs, which are still top flight players anywhere else. I truly don't think you can, and I think there probably have been some teams, and I think that's what we talked about with the Champions League, and I think PSG fell to this a couple of years ago. This last year they figured it out, but a couple of years ago they were like resting players during the French league because they would always run away with it, months in advance.
Yeah.
And they'd come back to try to play the Champions League. Oh yeah, they're all fresh and stuff, but they're not fit. They don't have the chemistry. Like they've kind of lost a step because they haven't played all those matches. So I feel like at least in the beginning, you have to start with like, all right, we're going for everything. You know what I mean? And then there's got to be some priorities, after that, especially the weeks where some teams have like 3 matches, right? They're playing Champions League, then they're playing La Liga, and then they're maybe playing Copa del Rey, or they're playing the English Cup. Like there's a lot of stuff like that you're like, okay, well, like, then I think you start taking it as like a team by team. Like, okay, well, this team's a little bit weaker, so maybe I play like rest some players here, and then have the rest of the players to go for the weekend. And so I think that's more of the balance than it is just taking, I guess, the tournament off, kind of.
Yeah, I guess that is a good point. I maybe was just looking at very specific points. And yeah, I guess during when the season goes on, you kind of have a little bit more of like a chess game as to like what you're going to do or not do, and when you're going to focus on a certain area or not. But I'll just say, I think the leagues are looking pretty interesting right now. Arsenal in the Premier League, maybe this is the year that they're not second. Like they definitely look like one of the teams, like the team to beat. You mentioned
this is deja vu though, Mario. I feel like they're always like in first, and like the middle towards like end of the middle of the season, and it's all of a sudden like, oh, they dropped a point here. Oh, they dropped another point, and then all of a sudden it's just like second place.
Yeah, actually, yeah, like 2 years ago it was basically Arsenal, and then they had I think around like the holidays they did pretty bad. Man City got kind of hot, and then Man City took it. So yeah, I guess we'll see. Israel, let us know what you think at Mystic Mocha. But I think we're at a pretty good place for today. Our next episode, we're going to cover part 2. Hopefully, the last part of our matchup against Portland. Hopefully, we get a good result in Soccer City. I think it is Soccer City in Portland.
TBD, no idea, we'll honestly. Check. Yeah.
Either I made it up or not. I'm pretty sure it's Soccer City. Yeah, hopefully we get a good result, and hopefully Manchester United is one game closer to letting that guy cut his hair.
In Providence Park, but good shot.
No, I think the nickname of Portland is Soccer City, but again, I might be wrong.
You know what you'll have to do? You'll have to come listen to the next episode, and that's what we'll start with. Is it or is it not Soccer Park? So that about does it for today's episode. Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate you being a part of our day, talking soccer and hanging out. Remember, you can find us on Instagram and X at _the Pitch Report. I'm Amilcar.
And I'm Mario.
Bye.